That's what it looks like.
Oh.
So what are we looking for in here? How so?
Red.
No.
Blue.
But why?
Wait, what?
So I'm
they're cold, because
right.
they're dead.
I was gonna say right because we're looking for cold spots. Like that's literally what we're looking for. So you need to know like this is a real deal. This is a FLIR thermal imaging camera. This is not a phone app you can download. It's just attached to a phone. It's only certain cell phones that actually handle the software to manage the camera. But you should be able to see me in there, red, orange, and yellow guy. Sorry, John, but that means I'm the warmest thing inside the picture right now. I usually say hottest when I have a bachelorette party, and it usually works out really well. But we're looking for blue and black. When I say blue and black, they're either going to take shape or start moving on their own. Taking shape means in the form of a person. Just so you know, I'm looking for heads, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. Like, that's what I'm looking for with this guy. The cool thing about your video you're going to get back is there's a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen. It's showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. I'm trying to make sure I have a windshield in view. So that is, I'm normally looking for 15-plus degree temperature drops. So tonight's ambient temperature, I want to say, is 55. So I'm literally looking for things that are 40 and below, that are going to be moving or taking shape. If I see some crazy anomaly of something like 30 to 50 degrees colder, I'm obviously going to take note of it, even though we might not have a shape. So again, sometimes the blue dot will cover up what's actually there. But we're going to do a few starts and stops. Some of them like to take naps in their car on their break. So don't film in anybody's car. We're just not going to go near anybody's vehicles. So,
Gotcha.
but what is this place? I guess first thing with the communication devices, I'm not going to be giving you questions here, like what color is George Washington's white horse, like what we did with the big red barn. So again, you're going to get the answers from your spirit boxes, and this is where I start withholding information. So just so you guys have a genuine experience. So what is this place? This used to be the Eliza and Charles Pinckney Mansion. Their mansion sat in the front of this space facing East Bay Street. Eliza's garden was lined up with that white truck and came all the way across. And the servants and slaves for the home were in the back of the space. So normally I take you where that SUV is parked, but I'm kind of in my spot. So I brought us over here. So who the heck were these people? Eliza and Charles had a son named Charles. They had a nephew named Charles. That's 3 different Chucks. That's why we look for secondary clues, so we know which one came through. So the son and the nephew, signers of the Constitution for South Carolina. That's boring political things, so we're going to move on because I hate politics more than everybody here. If I don't bring it up, they normally do it for me very angrily on one of the spirit boxes. So keep in mind, I actually have 7 different communication devices, and when I have a full group of 10, they are spread out pretty wide. So I don't like angry messages. We're not going to make them angry. So we're going to talk about Eliza instead. Eliza married Charles at a young age according to today's standards, not the colonial times that she came from. If you're going to ask her how old she was, don't expect numbers like 12 and 14, which would have been a marrying age in the 1700s. Think of how old people would be in today's standards. How old were people when they get married in today's days? The reason I bring this up is because her husband Charles was over double her age when they got married. So kind of a creepy age gap back then, creepy age gap now. So she married him because her father was over in England. He thought he was dying. He was trying to bring all his children home one last time. So Eliza didn't believe he was dying. So she stays put and she gets married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that particular year for a green card. Because again, she's not from here. We're not even a country yet. Green cards don't exist. So she did marry him out of love. Sorry, I try to make this brief because I know she's probably getting angsty. But anyway, she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing right now. You guys have been in town for a day or two. You've seen the word indigo somewhere. One of the gifts that she got were the plant seeds of indigo. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. None of you are wearing it tonight, just so you guys know.
Yeah.
I look at everybody's pants, right? So kind of a dirty tour guide. But at any rate, so she didn't know what to do with the seeds when she got them. So she had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. She figured it out, then figured out how to make the dye, moved it to a cash crop, got a hold of her father and said, rice plantations are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo. And now we have an international businesswoman during colonial times. Something absolutely unheard of.
Yeah.
That's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird stuff because that's why you guys are here. So I'm gonna give you a couple of focus questions so that way you guys, based on the type of spirit boxes that you're using. So I'm gonna start with yours. You can obviously do the age question, how old she was when she got married. But I also want you to go after the mansion. It's not here anymore. So what happened to it and when did that happen? And these are questions you can either just focus on or ask out loud. Do you have something already?
It says sold.
Sold?
That's all it says, sold.
Okay. Well, again, when we spread out a little bit in this space, again, I don't want to know every term that shows up. I'll take a look at them at a glance. With yours, you're going to go after Eliza's death. So I want you to ask her how old she was when she died, what did she die from, where she's buried, and what president was a pallbearer at her funeral. These are questions we commonly get the answers to. Now, keep in mind, I have 7 communication devices. I have more questions that we commonly get the answers to. That's why I want you to tell me all of the weird things that you're hearing. Again, that number 40 that you heard over there, it's not coincidence. I don't believe in coincidences. I use the number 40 on a nightly basis. I don't know what the hell Mexico means, but again, I'm not Google, so I don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So again, if you haven't already started your recordings from your cameras,
Yeah, I do.
and we're going to spread out, we're going to stay within the lot. So again, you could probably just stay put and just keep rocking her if you need to. But again, we're going to spread out a little bit. I'm going to test the EMF because the EMF here can go pretty high. So it just depends on the particular night, what kind of group I have, so forth and so on.
I think it said Tennessee.
Tennessee?
I think I heard something happen. What did
You are
it say?
what?
You are not.
You are not Tennessee. See? That's why you guys keep me around for the funny jokes about the stuff you're hearing. All right, so let's spread out. Let's see if we can get in touch with Eliza, and let's see what we can get out of this guy. So, John, just so you know, with your camera, I don't always follow up with you in real time because the screen is small, and I put that on YouTube so you guys can watch it however you want to.
Okay.
I watch it on a large computer screen when I'm reviewing it, and normally with this space, I try to get the wall in view, plus one of us, just because the anomalies I found in here have been forms of people along the wall that shouldn't be there. Heat anomalies, which can be something all on its own, especially since we have things growing in temperature.
Yeah. Huh. So just kind of keep the wall in focus.
Yep.
And then one person.
Yeah, and this is one of the spaces where the sky might be impossible to...
Yeah, it's a little tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I see what you mean. It kind of reverts to...
But I love that camera. Does it capture something every night? Not necessarily. I get like 5 or 6 really solid pieces a year out of that guy, but when I get it, it is a holy shit moment.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, when somebody's walking towards you and you can verify with another camera that there's nobody there, and they're completely cold on a warm night.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, I have it. I mean, that's why people come to see me. And again, I have every single night's different. I never know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I love about this, is that every single night is so different. I don't have any EMF readings yet. Somebody walking by. Let me take a look at that word list. Let's get a look at the vehicle first. Now what do you got? Word list? Yeah, whenever like you start spreading out, that's when you can crank it. But yeah, say about Karen. Like, I know this sounds weird, but somebody knew we were coming over there. Again, anything else?
Ruts, and I think it said Andrew.
And
Trusted me here. That's cool. Oh no.
you got anything coming up on your camera?
What?
I'm gonna take like 1 or 2 laps and kind of see what's going on here and give you guys an opportunity to listen if I can find a hot spot.
Whoa. This is whoa.
What did you say?
Whoa.
Oh yeah, it was on there before I left. Yeah, that's exactly it. Like, you want to try to have a person in there and then take the person out so that way you can see what's legit. See how it's picking up like the thing in the background there? It's picking up that sign. I think it's picking up the post. crazy coming up there.
No, not yet.
You'll know if somebody farts.
Yeah.
I get teenagers all the time asking me if they can we do the test? No. Get out of here. 4.4. On Eliza, we have, gotta get a little stronger than that. Thank you. 5.6. It's very like slow readings for this location.
First story.
Story. Listing story. I'll explain these readings before when we read them. Got anything else coming out of there? You got anything else coming out of there?
Rachel, it's like you're really hot, then you can see like just this little red dot in the stroller. Ada, like her head. Why the walls are red, but the ground is
So
cold.
the ground is made of a lot of like gravel and mud is always going to be cooler than the cement that was.
That makes
So
sense.
it actually grabbed the sun from the day and just
Yeah.
held on to it, so it's going to take longer to cool down.
Cool, that makes sense. Yeah.
I studied a lot of weird shit with this position, man. All right, if you're not hearing anything else, I say we regroup, and that way I can take a look at your word list and explain what the little bit of readings I did get were.
Okay.
Back. So the EMF meter is kind of like the tell-all, based on the readings of the space. So again,
All right.
EMF readings in here are normally, I look for things over 5 because we have things over the lamppost. So the lamppost will give up to 5 because they're electric, obviously. So I'll pull this out from time to time. Any other crazy terms along the way?
No, just glove since I saw a doctor. That's the only thing that's come up.
So this is called Philadelphia Alley now, but it used to be called Duelers Alley. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. So, and the slower you move with that camera, the easier it's going to be to find something, just so you know. But we all tell the same story down here, but I tell it a little bit differently because it's more detailed because of what you're doing. You're ghost hunting. It's not campfire marshmallow time. So, this is a story of a doctor that moves down here from Rhode Island. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. Now, if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl on the radio, it's not coincidence.
African traveler? African traveler just came up.
That's really weird. I'll explain that. I'll go into that now because we're not even touching the doctor yet. I can't take you all the way through this alley because I've been kicked out of here. Let me explain.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. So, when I first started doing this, I used to take people all the way down to the end because this alley didn't always go all the way through this way. It was cut off. So because it was called Cow Alley before it was Duelers Alley, because this is where they kept all the livestock, so cows, chickens, that kind of thing, were all in here. That means those bricks on that side, all the way down at the end, are older than the ones on this side. Those bricks are sun-dried bricks from slave children. There's a full handprint from a slave child in one of those bricks visible, and I used to take people down there because obviously I can show you the history. So we get a lot of rats down in that area. So don't be mindful of that. If any start to climb down, obviously we're going to move. But at any rate, so everybody wants to try to get a reading out of that handprint. I treat it the same way I do a grave. That kid's not staring at that handprint in the afterlife. So I'm trying to shoo them along. But it was November 26th of 2020. My entire group of 10 is huddled, waiting. What we didn't know is I was out of bounds. And I also shoo them along just out of respect because it's outside the kitchen window of the beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. The new owner of that mansion came out screaming. My daughter thought it was great because she was on the tour that night, probably about your age, and she's laughing hysterically, and we moved along. Now, the next day was Thanksgiving. I don't work Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. Adults will understand my pain of why I don't work Thanksgiving anymore. So the next day, November 28th, I got a phone call from my partner and said, we got to take it down either halfway, which is what we're allowed to do, because the other half is considered residential, or reroute the group. So I told my team that night, we're going to reroute the group, but I don't believe in this next story we're going to be discussing, because I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. I don't get into pirates at all. So before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I didn't tell them who we are going to be investigating. Kind of like the predictive things that we've been doing, and you had the word doctor. We are going to be investigating the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I went, all right, we'll see what happens when we get there. I told a little bit about piracy that I knew, and then somebody else on a spirit box heard the number 300. I don't know what that means in real time. We're there November 28th, 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy, November 28th of 1720.
Wow.
We were there on the exact 300 year anniversary of her pirate trial.
Oh my god.
And I didn't know that in real time. I had to do the research the next day. Because again, that's why I write everything down. So that's why I keep taking you guys over there. It is a hit or miss location, but it is a nice spread out space for 10 people to investigate, and we get bleed over from this doctor story that I'm about to cover. So that's why we go discuss and not go down all the way. So Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney that's helping her out with all of the cash.
Not some.
Sum of money.
Yeah,
I
some
had
of
saw
money.
something like a person, and I thought it was a light, but it's not popping up or anything.
Did you record?
Mhm.
Okay, perfect. So stop your recording. So make sure it saves. Okay, and now if you want to start it back up again, by all means. Just want to make sure when you capture something, you stop it so that way we know we can capture it later on.
Pointed over there to what she saw.
Well, the cameras don't see the same dimensions. That's
Oh.
the interesting thing. So even when I have the infrared camera out here, I want them all pointed in different directions.
Gotcha.
So back to Dr. Ladd. The attorney that's handling all of Amanda's money thinks that doctor is after Amanda's cash. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after her money. And the coachman that brought him into town set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a very good start to his stay in Charleston. Somebody was walking by. His name is Ralph Isaacs. I'm going to stop on Ralph because he has the same initials as where the doctor came from. So the doctor came from Rhode Island. We do get the letters R.I. a lot, either from that spirit box, the Ouija board device that I have in my bag, or from a spirit box. So Ralph tells the doctor, you don't want to stay here, dude. I know this guy's going to try to kill you. I got some friends at 59 Church Street. 59 shows up here a lot. You could stay there, rent a room, you'd be good to go. The doctor took him up on the offer. They became friends. The longer the doctor stays here, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this, and she's coming down so they can get married, and Dr. Ladd became known as the Whistling Doctor. Every haunted city you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. We all have one. But there's actually proof of this one, and I'm going to get to it. Doctor and Ralph go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other because the doctor makes more money. He just gets better seats. It's just the way it works. They're arguing one night on their way home, talking about the play and the new actress. The doctor thought the new actress was great. Ralph didn't think so. So the argument gets really heated when he starts insulting the doctor's fiancée back home in Rhode Island. They go their separate ways. Ralph then puts an ad in a newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society kind of thing. So the doctor saw the ad, but rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air.
You just said 10 paces and a measure popped up.
I can't make this stuff up. We've had the word pace show up here. And 10, from different devices. But he shot his one shot in the air. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph puts his one bullet in the kneecap on the doctor. So the doctor drops, and he doesn't die, but Ralph proved his point. He's still mad. The doctor's friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later. after he refused medical treatment. If you remember, the gunshot wounds back in 1786 were a lot different than they are now. He's probably trying to bleed it out himself because it was probably lead poisoning. So they say as you walk through here, you can hear how quiet it is, you can hear the whistles from the doctor. The cool thing is I'm recording the entire thing for you, as are your cameras. So you don't always have to listen for a whistle on your own, but if you're going to take a little walk through here and turn on your voice recorders, I want you to keep in mind that every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Queen Street or Cumberland is going to throw a whistle down the alley. So I do it every single night. I have to pass the alley to get back to my car. When my daughter's with us, we race to see who's going to throw the whistle first. So it's just kind of a little game we play. But now that you know why we're going to the next space, the gate behind me before we leave, that's another reason why I like to stop here. Remember that the alley didn't go all the way through because this is where they kept the livestock? This was the archway as a shortcut if there was a loser to the duel to get over to the cemetery on the other side. So the archway was created during the Dueller's Alley times, which would have been in the 1770s to the 1790s, and this is why they have it. Otherwise, you're carrying a dead body all the way down to the end and then back down and around to get over to St. Philip's Church. So that's why the archway is there. The gate was not there until the 1900s based on the ironwork that I can see, so that's a guesstimate on my end. But again, this was an open archway after it was, cow alley. Any other major terms show up?
No, presidential.
You know what else the funny thing is about Jackson? There's a rumor that Andrew Jackson actually had a duel down here as well. Not to mention, we're getting closer and closer to John Calhoun's, tomb as well. Sarcophagus, rather. Any terms coming out of yours? And you have something for me to catch when I'm reviewing it, so I'll definitely have to take a look at that. I'll take a note as we move on to the next space. John, anything crazy on yours?
Not yet.
I know you were kind of focused on the story.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We don't spend a lot of time here because we're going to be investigating the next space pretty openly. So it looks like Anne's ready too. How old is she?
I don't know what she's doing.
About 7 months. Yeah.
Very attentive.
Oh yeah, very.
My youngest was like that. All right. So, and how old are you two?
I'm
12. And my daughter's going to be 17, and she's shorter than you guys. she's like this. And my oldest daughter, she's 22 and shorter than that. So about 2 more inches. Their mom is really short. All right, so for those of you with cameras, if you want to continue recording, just keep in mind we're going to be walking around people, so don't be too obvious as a YouTuber. But we're going to just stay out of the other Ghost Tours Way. It's another popular area, so we're going to see how that one goes up there. So I'm kind of excited because we have certain clues that we caught in real time, so hopefully that gives me something else to pass through here, which is why I bring us to the back.
She's very into it.
I know, I see that. So it's usually the ones that are a little timid at first that really they're in it, they're deep. So we're going to be discussing that little tiny building behind you. That's the gunpowder magazine. So it's a museum now, but those are not crosses on the building. Those are earthquake bolts. So it's the building in front.
Oh, yeah.
We're looking at the apartment building, like, what the hell's so important about this building? But those crosses are earthquake bolts, and earthquake bolts, if you're not familiar with them, those are basically turnbuckles. So if we have another earthquake, like what we did in '86, which we haven't, you can turn the turnbuckles day by day, and it's supposed to tighten the building back up so it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work.
I was about to say, does that really work?
No, it doesn't. Californians laugh at me all the time whenever I bring these up because they know that they don't work. The reason I bring them up is part of the reason why we're here. Those particular earthquake bolts were the first set that Charleston ever put in because that's the oldest government building in South Carolina. So, you want to talk about infrastructure? That's kind of a weak tie, but it is, you have the word America, and our friend John Calhoun is buried on the other side of this wall. So we are very close to Calhoun terms coming through. So again, when you have America and infrastructure coming up, I don't know, it's vague. But I'm going to definitely look into how much other things are popping up around him. But anyway, we're here because this building was being constructed at the same time that Anne Bonny was coming here to start her new life. So the building took 10 years to build. That doesn't sound like the government does it. Small building, 10 years? No, not at all. But anyway, our story begins right in the middle of it. 1708. This is right in the middle of construction. A young lady moves here from Ireland. Her name is Anne Cormack. She comes here with her father and his mistress. Girlfriend. The girlfriend / mistress is Anne's mother. Is everybody with me so far? There's a couple of twists in the story.
Wait.
So her father's girlfriend is her mom.
Okay.
You with me?
Yes.
The three of them are coming here to run away from her father's angry wife.
Okay.
So he was cheating on his wife with the girlfriend, had a baby, they moved here. Got it? Okay.
Yep.
So that's why I slowed down on that part, because it can get a little confusing. They land in Georgetown, which is just north of us, between us and Myrtle Beach. Dad bought a plantation, but Mom died pretty quickly thereafter, which means he's got to send young Anne down here to Charleston, so that way she can sell anything from the plantation and keep things afloat. So, hence the familiar building. That's why we're here. For those of you that watch the TV shows, this is the same principle of using a teddy bear to attract a child first. This is what I call a familiar piece. We don't have many buildings in Charleston this old, but this is something she would recognize. So we're hopefully, fingers crossed, we're going to get some activity that she's here at the same time that we are. So let's go backwards a little bit. When she was back in Ireland, they say she was kind of a badass. They say she killed one of her servants when she was only 7, 8, 9 years old with a knife to the belly. So she killed a servant straight to the stomach with a knife. We have had the word servant, knife, and belly all show up in the same evening here on multiple occasions. Fast forward, the building's done in 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love because she wants to earn her freedom, just like a man. A man's work. So, first guy she falls in love with, yes, I said first because there's a handful and we're going to go through them all, is James Bonney. You already see where this one's going because I already mentioned her married name, right?
Okay.
Wow. You might want to get close to us.
Wait, I want to go see what's going on.
I know, but definitely don't film anything at this point.
Oh yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. We don't need to be the people of evidence. So let's get back to Anne Bonney. All the F-bombs are going to be in the back of your audio.
Woohoo.
Awesome. So A's going to grow up one day and say, Mom, what the hell are you doing? You're 2023. What do you have now? Does it work fight?
No, tense.
It is a little tense. So where was I? Oh, first guy, James Bonney. Dad didn't approve of him, so they ran away to Jamaica. They got married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonney, but James is not Captain Jack Sparrow. She was hoping for. This guy turns out to be a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. This is not who she wants because that makes him a coward. She falls in love again. This guy is John Rackham, aka Calico Jack. Calico Jack is the person that they based your Johnny Depp character on. Yes. So this is the guy she wants, obviously, and she falls in love, and he has his own crew. She wants to be part of it. Can't put a girl on a pirate crew. Anybody know why? Think family-friendly, Rachel. I see the wheels spinning. Especially with the tension next door. It's bad luck. So you can't put a girl on the crew because it's bad luck. Just so you know. I get a lot of different answers on that one, just so you know. But anyway, so he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, you'll be part of it. But you're going to be a female in my quarters. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she's like, whatever, let's go. But let's put two and two together. She's a girl in his quarters. She's going to get pregnant. You can't have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl. So he drops her off in Cuba. They'll have a baby. Come back later. We'll figure it out. She comes back with no baby. So we have no idea what happened to her. So,
Child.
Oh wait, now that before you start talking about maybe you're talking about I heard method and for that
your camera likes to act up in here too, by the way.
Well, I didn't. I forgot. I thought I hit record, but I didn't. I just turned it back on.
I've had several nights, smaller groups, and a white film will go over the person with the spirit box, the one Riley has, and then the spirit box stops working.
Dang.
Like, and when I say a white film, it almost looks like the old, like, rolling static.
Static.
And it's only over that person.
That's wild.
I've seen it several times. It's the weirdest thing. And then when I go back to the recording, there's no interruption.
Huh. But it just quit working.
It quit working, and we walk away from like that 15, 20 square foot area, and it goes right back to record. And it takes like 4 buttons to get that thing to get to the record session.
Short. Dang.
It was so weird.
That
and
is
it's happened
weird.
I want to say it's been up to 3 times now, maybe 4. But it's happened, on random occasion.
Have
So
to keep her in the picture then.
And with part of the reason why I'm so interested in this SLS camera at this location, every time I have a psychic on the tour, they all see the same soldier standing near the powder magazine wearing the same uniform. And it's blue and white. which doesn't make
Wow.
sense for us because if it was Civil War,
Yeah,
we would be gray.
Gray.
And it's always in the same area. Blue pants, white shirt. That's
Huh.
every single time. I've had at least 4 psychics, 5 psychics tell me that. And that's how I pretty much know. Like I try to debunk a lot of psychics, self-claim.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you like that's like making your mission.
Yeah. I've actually had people leave the tour
Really?
because I've debunked them.
They're like, oh.
Well, they start off with, I'm a little sensitive and I can sense things and whatever. And if I get to a point where I'm like, because I withhold even more information at that point.
Yep, exactly.
So
to
that way I
see,
can kind of see what's
test
going
them.
on. Right.
Yep.
And if I say like, hey, I kind of don't feel like you got anything going on there. Like that doesn't make any sense to me at all. And don't tell me about what the ghost is feeling. I can't prove any of that.
Yeah, exactly.
What do you got coming out of there?
Just like commercial.
Yeah, but what are the commercials saying?
Well, I heard Jack.
Okay, that's pretty common here. I'll take that one. You got any words coming up on your end?
No, it's still on can.
Still on can? Did you hear anything out of there when you were listening?
Oh, I heard murder. I just heard murder.
Okay. It's definitely a priority term. Again, you guys will see my markers, because I'm going to give you exactly where I heard something, so if I find that gap, that was at 45 minutes and 32 seconds. Because that way you can hear it for yourself, and sometimes, like most of it's not going to be relevant to me at all, or the spaces. That's why I give it back to you, because there might be a weird phrase in there. It's like, my grandpa used to smoke those Pall Malls, or whatever. You get the point. Like, it's going to be something relative to you. So if it's just weird to me, I'm like, yeah, that's a odd phrase or a word. That's what goes into place. Because again, I can't think of how it's going to relate to the space. I just leave it open, and you guys still get those marks. That way you can see it. Yeah, now I'm going to listen.
Do I need to hear that?
I was thinking probably continue in here. There's nobody walking through. We've had some unexplainable figures like against that back wall, but there's a lot of leaves there, so it's kind of hard to pinpoint if it's picking up the leaves. More tour groups out here tonight than I thought. You got nothing? I got no I don't expect readings in here at EMF detection. If they do, it's exciting. And it's vague, and it'll make sense later. Very vague. About 2 degrees warmer over here than it was at Pinky Mansion. Somebody's trying to escape.
Oh no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're going to fall out.
Yeah, run away.
Don't fall out. Where you going? Where you going?
That's a big age gap between the two of these. I just
I
thought
had
about
her when
that.
I was pretty young.
Just put that together. 'Cause, I mean, my girls are almost 6 years apart, and that was pretty far for us.
My oldest is 17.
Where are they
He's
at?
my stepson, but so he's not. I didn't have him 17 years ago.
Like I said, my oldest is my stepdaughter from a previous marriage,
Yeah.
and she's 22, and she has a son now.
I know that's
So I'm technically a granddad.
Granddad. Oh Lord.
I haven't met him yet.
I know we always joke because Lane, stepson, he's gonna be like in his 30s, and she's still gonna be in high school.
That's the way families work these days, right? All right, you got nothing coming out of there? You didn't get any other crazy anomalies?
I'm
All right.
still saying
2
skin.
duds. So let's kind of cover these answers. Go ahead and continue recording. Okay, listen to some of those in the background. So the word skin will make sense here in just a minute. By the way, this is another space where part of the reason why I give that heated warning at the beginning. A year ago, this past September, I brought my group to the back, and the kid next to me, it was September, so temperatures like this, he started to pass out, like so quickly that I had to hurry up and catch him by his armpit.
Dang.
His boyfriend picked him up from the other side of him, and we brought him over here, got him a bottle of water from the vending machine. He was feeling better, and then I told them the story about Ann Bonnie, that same one I told you. This used to be my last stop. So I would say, all right, guys, go have fun, spread out, let's see what we can find. And I'd actually let them go over to the church and all kinds of things, like, just go have a blast. And them two pull me aside, and they say, Nick, we have to tell you, we are two transgender males, two females dressed as males, just like Ann and Mary in the story, on the tour.
Dang.
So these are the things that I can't explain. You know, again, it made sense once they told me. I was like, you got to be kidding me. So I didn't pick up on it. It was just one of those pieces. But psychics and mediums, like really practicing ones, I don't give them a spirit box because it's just too many messages, and they don't understand how the messages come through anyway, because they're already getting their own. Most of them will pass out at the Pinkley Mansion site if there's high EMF. They just can't handle it. I can't tell you how many I've sent out on a gurney to an emergency room. Yeah, it happens a lot.
That's crazy.
So, probably more than, I mean, we'll just say 2 or 3 times a year. To me, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So, but let's cover Ann Bonnie, because that's the fun part of where we're at. Like, what the hell did we sign up for? He's freaking me out, man. But, alright, so Ann Bonnie, this is one of the few pictures you can find of. This is called the Circular Church. It's a non-denominational, which means everybody has a seat, and they're all. That's the whole point of it. But, yeah, it's kind of a creepy thing. Graveyard is connected to a church.
Oh, okay.
So just think of the yard. It's connected to the house. And then a cemetery.
So look at the little head.
Little red dot in there.
Yeah.
It's great for testing fevers, by the way.
Yeah.
When we were going through.
You hear anything?
I heard. I thought I heard New
I don't remember.
I think it was New
You're
York.
supposed to remember, so I
Yeah, I
can write
think
it
it
down.
was New York.
Sure.
Star 7.
So Riley and John, I want you guys to just have a seat on the bench. You can continue to listen. I'm going to give you your blindfold so you can open it up. And again, I don't want it back because eye wax is gross too. I'm going to take these two over to that monument over there and kind of give them the history. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put the headphones on you. And but the blindfold takes a second because you got to open it up because it's a sanitary blindfold. Again, I don't want it back either. So super light. But when this way you can actually help her out because in the center, like when you open up the eyepieces, there's a piece in the middle that you have to rip apart, and then those go over your ears. There's 2 loops there, so you'll kind of see that when you. So go ahead and work on that, and then I'll come back with the headphones. It'll be like 3 minutes. Again, this is very brief in this space until we can get to work with you. So let me go give them the history. Let's go learn some stuff.
Where'd they go? Oh. Oh yeah, I see them in the camera. Android phone.
Yeah, he said it was a construction. Maybe he's just talking about the camera.
So none of
Oh
that.
no, he said the phone.
None of the stuff at the top looks like Apple.
Yeah, it's like an Android.
All right, did you guys figure out that blindfold?
Yeah.
So let's get.
Does she know she's supposed to stay so
This is not easy to do.
Honor God.
Honor God.
We are next to St. Michael's Church. The name Michael shows up here pretty much on 6 out of 7 nights a week, just so you know. Are we? Tell us if we're near a church, what the name of that church is. What's the name of the church that we're near?
Jump.
Uh,
We're looking for the name of the church that we're standing next to. Right across the street.
17.
that mean anything?
Free.
Probably a lot of pollen in here. What church are we next to? And I don't know what the number 17 refers to. Henry, let's move on to the name of your wife. Can you tell us the name of your wife? You did it for us a few nights ago. The only person that can hear you right now is Riley. You use that little red box that's sitting next to her, and she can hear you. What was that? I had something come up on your camera. Yeah, like when you have a figure show up, it'll make that little noise to alert you that it picked up something. Henry, use the little red box sitting next to Riley. She can hear you.
Right now?
Yes, right now. We've asked you several questions. The name of the church that we're next to. The name of your wife. What your job was. These are very specific answers we're looking for. Normally people are spouting off. I'm going to tap her out in just a minute. We'll let Madeline give it.
Is it not? It's not saying she's not hearing nothing. Right?
Yeah. Some people struggle with this. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And then I'm throwing, full force on her with the sensory deprivation.
Or yeah.
And it's weird that she's not hearing nothing. She's not even saying anything.
They said
Don't
it's.
be afraid to. Some people are afraid to, it seems silly. You want to tap her out for me?
I can't see like anything.
So you're struggling.
Yeah.
So we're going to let Madeline give it a try. Yep.
You didn't hear anything?
So
Well,
I don't
heard
want you to
testing
get
on
up
the
either. because when your eyes and ears are being kind of occupied, you're going to be a little woozy when you move around.